Vietnam, a vivid miniature world, strange and full of paradoxes. Here, a low plastic stool can become a cultural symbol that breaks every class boundary. Here, a small cup of coffee can carry the bitterness of the Highlands and the slow breathing rhythm of a Hanoi morning. On this land, culture lives on every sidewalk, in village markets, in temple bells, in village festivals, in folk songs, and in the way people treat one another. They calmly drink coffee right beside the railway track with the narrowest safety corridor on earth, smile in noisy markets, and adapt to sun and rain, to endless streams of motorbikes, and to the non-stop changes of the times. Every region has its own voice. Every season of the year has its own color. Every road, every river, every old rooftop seems to be holding on to a piece of the nation's memory. Let us explore a Vietnam where cultural depth reaches far beyond every geographic border. The most unique sidewalk culture in the world. It is truly a joke of fate when Westerners like us, weighing more than 200 pounds, willingly curl ourselves onto a red plastic stool that stands only one hand span above the ground. Welcome to the sidewalks of Vietnam, where Western standards of tall tables, proper chairs, and cool air conditioning are crushed by one supreme law: the lower the stool, the more run down the place, the more likely the food is to reach a legendary level. Just a few tables, a couple of chairs, and a tea set can create a very lively street stall right on the sidewalk. The customers of sidewalk stalls are also extremely diverse, from people wearing suits and polished leather shoes to people in work clothes and rubber sandals, from college students to motorbike taxi drivers, and sometimes even famous singers and models. Vietnamese people do not like sitting high, because sitting high means drifting away from the ground, losing the proud streetwise flavor of shoulder pole pho and stir-fried snails. That is why the tiny plastic stool is a little miracle that blurs social class. The beauty standard of fair skin in Vietnam. The rise of the street ninja army. While women in our countries are willing to spend thousands of US dollars to tan their skin into a honey brown shade, in Vietnam, sunlight is considered the #1 enemy of beauty. Rush straight into the streets of Vietnam at noon on a summer day of 40 degrees Celsius, and you may think you have wandered onto the set of a futuristic holy war movie. Here, there are fully covered ninja armies, armed from head to toe with polka dot sun, protection skirts, 3-layer fabric masks pulled up close to the ears, and oversized sunglasses that block every desire of the sunlight. This paradox actually has deep roots in an ancient wet rice civilization. Tanned skin was unintentionally tied to the hardship of farmers who spent the whole year working under the open sky. Fair skin, on the other hand, was the privilege of aristocrats sitting inside royal residences, free from rain and sun. But behind Behind those meters of sun-protective fabric are women with sharp personalities, independence, and a spirit of steel, hidden beneath a gentle smile. They carry the skillful, caring sweetness of East Asian women while also having a cool head, ready to take control of their lives and control the handlebars on the most chaotic roads. Controversial cuisine, the thin line between delicacy and fear. If your stomach is only used to neat square cuts of steak or bland plates of salad, Vietnamese cuisine will be a direct slap that wakes you up. Rush straight into a Sidewalk bun dao shop and face shrimp paste the dipping sauce with the strongest power to divide humanity. To foreigners, its intense smell foaming up when mixed with lime and chili is no different from a test of courage. But once you overcome prejudice, that powerful aroma turns into an addictive delicacy taken to an extreme level. Vietnam proudly ranks second in the world in dog meat consumption, while also having a no-waste eating philosophy that turns every kind of animal organ into a distinctive drinking snack. The most special of all is Thuoc Khan, a dish that challenges every Western rule of food safety because it is made from fresh raw animal blood. A bright red plate of Thuoc Khan glittering like a mysterious ruby on the dining table is both a fear for health organizations and a point of pride as a food experience that reaches the deepest edge of wildness. But do not look only at the extreme side. Vietnam can still caress the taste buds of the most demanding chefs in the world with its distinctive traditional dishes. From banh mi packed with flavor to a bowl of pho with a clear broth simmered from beef bones. For dozens of hours, they always carry the freshness of tropical herbs and vegetables, making people fall in love from the very first spoonful of broth. Thuoc Lao and the bamboo pipe, the smoke shock that makes Western tourists fall backward. The bamboo pipe, a simple bamboo tube filled with water inside, is a heavy weapon capable of knocking down even the biggest Western strongmen in exactly 3 careless seconds. Thuoc Lao, a cousin of tobacco, carries a nicotine concentration 9 to 10 times stronger than usual. The ritual of enjoying it looks like a Sidewalk magic performance roll, a small pinch of tobacco, place it into the bowl, light it, take 1 deep pull, spit out saliva, then blow out smoke. The most mesmerizing part is the sound. When the smoker inhales, the air passes through the water inside, creating a bubbling, crisp sound that is strangely fun to hear. However, the consequence of carelessness from foreign tourists is always a hilarious scenario. Thinking it is as mild as cigarettes, they take 1 deep pull. Immediately their eyes open wide, their arms and legs go weak, and they fall backward onto the floor of the iced tea stall in an unforgettable state of tobacco dizziness. From the homes of wealthy men in the past to the sidewalks of today, the bamboo pipe has always been a catalyst that dissolves the distance between rich and poor. Many Western visitors, after recovering from the high, become so fascinated by this sound that they buy a copper-wrapped bamboo pipe packet up and bring it home like a treasure. The Kingdom of Motorbikes, a two-wheeled civilization and the balancing masters. Forget the orderly lanes or dry traffic laws of Europe, because the streets of Vietnam are a chaotic river operated by more than 50 million motorbikes. Seen from above during rush hour, the intersections look no different from a broken ant colony weaving into each other with no way out. And yet the two-wheeled waterfall flows with the grace of a liquid, avoiding one another through gaps of only a few centimeters thanks to an invisible order inside the minds of the riders. Especially when the asphalt roads are overloaded during rush hour, the sidewalk immediately turns into a self-appointed priority lane. Skilled riders calmly make their bikes jump onto the sidewalk, weaving past tree roots, rushing past the plastic stools of iced tea stalls with astonishing calmness. Here, a motorbike is not just a vehicle. It is a miniature truck capable of stretching space. You will have to rub your eyes when you see an old scooter carrying a giant Tet Kumquat tree. On its back, a mountain of delivery boxes 3 times taller than the rider, or a family of 4 stacked perfectly like a moving Rubik's Cube. For first-time visitors crossing the street is a heart-pounding gamble. But the rule is deeply ironic. Just close your eyes, walk forward steadily, absolutely do not stop, and the motorbike waterfall will naturally part for you, like Moses parting the water. The land of creatures that seem to have stepped out of legend. In a world where arrogant humans believe they have explored every square meter of the Earth's surface, Vietnam proudly appears like an ancient oasis, holding creatures that seem to exist only in imaginary red books. With more than 16,000 plant species and 10,000 animal species, the mist-filled, dense forests of the Truong Son Range and the limestone cave systems have become a perfect fortress, hiding the treasures of creation for millions of years. Rush straight into the darkness of the deep forest, and the world was shaken in 1992, when scientists discovered the saola, the first large mammal found after a century, a creature known as the Asian unicorn with 2 straight and majestic horns. They are so mysterious that they reject every attempt at human domestication, choosing death from depression rather than living inside a glass enclosure. Sharing that same sanctuary is the Tonkin snub-nosed monkey with a face like a cartoon goblin character, bright pink lips and neon blue eye rings, or the Annamite striped rabbit wearing colorful striped fur just like a baby tiger. They are nature's powerful answer to human curiosity. Nhem Festival, the fertility dance of the Highland people. On the 15th day of the first lunar month in the land of Lang Son, a unique national-level festival takes place, shattering every stereotype about traditional East Asian modesty. It is the Nhem festival of the Tay people, where the name Nhem means a smeared face. All the strong men carrying the palanquin must smear black soot from cooking pots across their faces so evil spirits cannot recognize who they are. The centerpiece that makes tens of thousands of visitors blush and keeps phone cameras working at full capacity is the procession of Tang Thin, a sacred object modeled after the male reproductive organ made from giant wood painted bright pink and weighing dozens of kilograms. The Tay people bring this sensitive object into broad daylight with respect and pure joy. They believe that the larger the sacred object is, the more abundant the harvest will be that year, and the more children will fill their homes. Within the festival, local people also hold cultural activities, artistic performances, and folk games, creating a joyful and excited atmosphere in the early days of the new spring. The wave of designer pajamas on the streets. If in London or New York, walking outside in a silk pajama set would make people think you were sleepwalking or mentally unstable, then in Vietnam, sleepwear is the national armor, ruling every corner of the sidewalk. Foreign visitors often experience a visual shock when they see grandmothers' mothers or even young women wearing full matching sets printed with loud floral patterns, Hello Kitty, or designs inspired by famous fashion brands to go to the market, pick up their children, or casually sit and chat at a coffee shop. Why can something considered private bedroom clothing confidently take over the streets? The answer is very simple, because it is cool, comfortable, and ultimately convenient under the tropical sun. In this land, the concept of home is expanded to a radius of several kilometers around it, turning the entire neighborhood into the large living room of one giant family. This symbolic popularity has created a spectacular comeback as high fashion designers bring stylized matching pajama sets straight onto luxury runways, turning a sidewalk item into a proud statement of confidence. The cultural space of Central Highlands Gongs. Central Highlands Gongs are black boxes that store memory, the only language capable of speaking directly with the supreme Yang gods. The strange thing is that this entire symphony of the Great Forest does not have a single musical note written on paper. All the deep and powerful melodies are passed down through oral tradition and musical feeling through the hands of artisans. These are people who only need to hear the sound of a strike to know whether the metal structure inside needs to be filled in more or carved down. For the tribes of the Great Forest Gongs are a measure of wealth and prestige. In the past, a precious gong, set such as an ancient boar gong, could be worth several war elephants or dozens of male buffaloes. The sound of gongs is the only sound that accompanies a person's entire life, from the gentle, ear-blowing ceremony welcoming a newborn child to the intense and piercing grave-leaving ceremony sending the dead back to the world of the ancestors. When the circle of men wearing loincloths with rippling muscles begins to dance around the great fire of the wrong communal house, the sound of gongs pounds down until the ground trembles, turning the Highland night into a surreal, epic space. Burning dollars to show respect for the deceased. In the 7th lunar month, when the King of Hell opens the Ghost Gate, Vietnam enters the peak season of one of the most surreal spiritual economies in the world. Based on the law of as above, so below, the living believe that relatives in the other world also need the same modern comforts. Because of that, they are willing to spend a considerable amount of real money to buy stacks of fake money, underworld dollars, high-rise villas, Rolls-Royce supercars, iPhones, and even black credit cards made of paper. In Hanoi, Hang Ma Street in Hanoi transforms into a brilliantly colorful capital, looking like a strange installation art exhibition. The hungry ghost offering ritual takes place on the sidewalk with trays full of thin porridge candy and sweets opening the battle of snatching ghost offerings filled with the laughter of city children. Many Western tourists have been shocked to see local people holding stacks of paper dollars worth billions of dollars and placing them into a metal furnace. Hanoi Train Street Coffee, a dangerous experience in the heart of the Old Quarter. This is where small shops sit right next to the railway tracks, while the train passes by only one step away from the drinking tables. The space here is narrow and old, but it carries a very unique charm. In the past, many people came here just to sit on a low plastic stool, order an egg coffee, iced milk coffee, or a cold bottle of beer, and wait for the moment when the train appeared. At first, the atmosphere was very normal, with the sound of conversations, camera clicks, the smell of drip coffee, and old walls stained by time. But as soon as the train horn sounded from far away, the whole street changed instantly. Everyone hurriedly pulled in tables and chairs, pressing themselves tightly against the wall. The giant train swept past right in front of them, strong wind rushing by, the ground shaking. When the train passed, everything returned to normal, as if nothing had ever happened. Although this activity is now restricted for safety reasons, the image of Train Street remains a striking symbol of the crowded, risky, yet full of life and memory character of Hanoi. Vietnamese snake wine, the strangest liquor in the world. This is something often placed in large glass jars with snakes coiled inside the golden brown liquor, sometimes soaked together with scorpions, geckos, or medicinal herbs. In folk belief, snake wine was once seen as a kind of medicinal liquor believed to warm the body, support bones and joints, or increase vitality. That belief is what makes this liquor a very special image in Vietnamese folk culture. However, for Western tourists, the sight of an entire snake lying inside a jar of liquor brings a feeling of fear, horror, and shock. The appeal of snake wine does not lie in whether it is truly a miracle medicine or not, but in the cultural layer behind it. It is the way ancient people observed nature and believed in the power of animals, herbs, and medicinal liquor. Vietnam is the second largest coffee producer in the world. Few people would expect that behind ordinary cups of iced milk coffee on the sidewalk, Vietnam is actually one of the greatest coffee powers on the planet. Today, Vietnam is known as the second largest coffee producer in the world, after Brazil, while also playing a particularly important role in the global Robusta coffee market. The center of Vietnam's coffee industry lies in the Central Highlands, which is considered the largest coffee-growing region in the country. This land was formed from ancient volcanic lava, creating mineral-rich red basalt soil. It is this special soil, together with the suitable highland climate, that has nourished vast coffee plantations and helped Vietnam become one of the world's leading coffee exporting countries, with production reaching millions of tons each year. But what makes Vietnamese coffee special is not only its production volume, but also the way Vietnamese people turn coffee into a part of everyday life. From the small fin filter dripping slowly over condensed milk, to an icy glass of milk coffee at noon in summer, to creamy egg coffee, unusual salt coffee, or rich fragrant coconut coffee, every way of drinking carries a very distinct mark. In Vietnam, coffee is not only for staying awake. It is the morning on a low plastic stool beside the sidewalk, a long conversation between friends, the sound of motorbikes passing through, the aroma of dark roasted coffee. From the red soil highlands of the Central Highlands to small shops in the middle of Hanoi and Saigon, coffee has become a living symbol of the rhythm of Vietnamese life. Super thin houses in Hanoi, the architecture that amazes the world. How can people live in such a narrow space? That is the question many visitors who have been to Hanoi are extremely curious about. In the middle of Hanoi's crowded streets, there is a strange type of architecture that makes many visitors stop and look closely. These are super thin houses, buildings with extremely narrow frontages, bodies as slim as slices squeezed into the city, odd shapes, and not enough area or dimensions to qualify as independent construction projects. These houses often appear after road expansion, urban planning, or land division through many generations. Some houses are only a few meters wide, some are triangular, distorted, or so narrow that they seem impossible to live in. And yet, Hanoians still turn them into homes, shops, small eateries, and even business frontages along busy streets. What is special about super thin houses is not only their strange shape. They also reveal a reality of Vietnamese cities, limited land, dense population, high land prices, and the astonishing adaptability of urban residents. From the outside, these houses may make people laugh because they look so unusual. But if you look deeper, they are the traces of a Hanoi that is constantly changing, where architecture sometimes has to shrink itself in order to survive within the rhythm of modern life. Phong Nha Cơ Bang National Park, Vietnam's underground world. If Vietnam has a secret kingdom hidden underground, then Phong Nha Ke Bang is the doorway into that world. Located in Quang Binh province in central Vietnam, this place is famous for its ancient limestone mountains, primeval forests, underground rivers, and some of the most magnificent caves in the world. Inside the caves, visitors can encounter glittering stalactites, blue rivers flowing through darkness, stone domes as high as cathedral roofs, and rock corridors carved by nature over millions of years. The most famous is Son Doong, one of the largest natural caves in the world, a place with sinkholes, forests, and its own ecosystem inside the cave. Inside the cave is a vast space large enough to contain a 40-story skyscraper, with an underground river, massive stalactites, sinkholes, and even a small forest growing naturally under the light from the sky. Royal court music, a sound once reserved only for kings and lords. It was once honored by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Hu Royal court music is a traditional form of court music that flourished under the Nguyen dynasty and carries the meaning of elegant music, a sound that once echoed only inside the royal palace, before kings, lords, mandarins, and during the most important ceremonies of the imperial court. Unlike folk music, which is often connected to village life, Hu Royal court music carries a solemn, refined, and scholarly beauty. During sacrificial ceremonies, royal audiences, banquets, or imperial rituals, the sounds of drums, bells, zithers, flutes, horns, and many traditional instruments blend together, creating a space that is both majestic and deeply contemplative. Every rhythm, every performance movement is carefully arranged, as if music itself must walk according to the rituals of the royal court. What makes Hu Royal court music special is its ability to bring listeners back to an ancient Vietnam, where golden palaces, royal robes and hats, incense smoke, and music blended together into the memory of a distant royal era. Today, when visiting the Hue Imperial City, tourists still have the chance to listen to this kind of music inside the old royal space. Each performance is not only an artistic presentation, but also a journey of restoring, preserving, and continuing cultural values that were once at risk of disappearing. Đà Lạt, the Highland city with 4 seasons in one day. Located on the Lam Vian Plateau at an elevation of about 1,500 meters above sea level, Đà Lạt has a cool climate all year round, completely different from most tropical cities in Vietnam. This place is famous for pine forests, lakes, flower valleys, winding slopes, and old villas bearing the mark of French architecture. Coming here, visitors can feel as if they are passing through all 4 seasons in just one day. In the morning, the city is often covered in a thin layer of mist, with chilly air like spring just waking up. Near noon, sunlight begins to spread over the slopes, flower gardens, and rooftops, bringing a warm feeling like a gentle summer. In the afternoon, clouds drift through the valleys, cold wind blows through the pine forests, making the space quiet and thoughtful like autumn. And when night falls, the Highland cold slips into every street, making people feel as if winter is sitting beside a hot cup of coffee. It is this change that creates the very unique and captivating soul of Đà Lạt, the city of thousands of flowers. Vietnam's 54 ethnic groups, the cultural treasure of the S-shaped land. Vietnam is not only a country shaped like the letter S on the map, but also a cultural picture woven from 54 different colors. Among them, the Kin ethnic group makes up the majority and lives widely across the country. Alongside them are 53 ethnic minority groups, such as the Tay, Thai, Muong, Hmong, Dao, Ede, Gia Rai, Cham, Khmer, and many other communities. They live from the northern valleys, the majestic Truong Son Range, the central Highlands, to the Mekong Delta. What is special is that each ethnic group has its own language, clothing, festivals, houses, food, music, and customs. Some places are famous for stilt houses on mountain slopes. Some places shine brightly with brocade skirts and clothes. Some places echo with the sound of gongs in the Highland night, like the heartbeat of the sky and earth. It is this difference that makes Vietnam so captivating. 54 brother ethnic groups not only create cultural richness, but also show the power of unity in a country that knows how to preserve its roots in every way of life, every song, and every festival season. Trang, a maze of rivers and mountains in the heart of the ancient capital. Trang is a place that once marked the earliest dynasties in Vietnam's feudal history. Located in Ninh Binh, near the ancient capital of Hoa Lu, Trang An is surrounded by towering limestone mountains, flooded valleys, caves cutting through mountains, and rivers winding like green silk ribbons through the heart of the heritage site. Sitting on a small boat, visitors drift slowly over crystal-clear water, with moss-covered cliffs above and mountain shadows reflected below like a second world lying asleep. The most special thing about Trang An is the feeling of being both vast and secretive. At times, the boat glides through an open sky that stretches out endlessly. But only a few minutes later, it slips into a dark, low, and long cave where the sound of paddles and water touching stone echoes like the sound of time. What makes Trang An special is the harmony between nature and history. The landscape here is majestic, gentle, and filled with the sacred feeling of an ancient capital land. Every bend of the river, every cliff, every temple roof seems to hold a piece of old memory. Vietnamese Lunar New Year, the most sacred reunion festival of the year. Lunar New Year is the most important traditional festival of the Vietnamese people, the time when the whole country seems to slow down to enter a new year with hope, reunion, and peace. Usually taking place in late January or February according to the lunar calendar, Tet is not only a long holiday, but also a warm journey home for millions of Vietnamese families after a difficult year of hard work. Before Tet, people clean their homes, buy peach blossoms and apricot blossoms, prepare 5 fruit trays, wrap chung cakes and Tet cakes, and arrange the ancestral altar. Tet markets become more brilliant with the red color of couplets, lucky money envelopes, fresh flowers, and the lively sounds of buying and selling. New Year's Eve is the most sacred moment, when families gather together, light incense to remember their ancestors, and pray for a good new year. In particular, on the first day of Tet, at the beginning of the year, Vietnamese people avoid sweeping the house because they believe doing so may accidentally sweep away wealth and good luck at the start of the year. In the following days, people wear new clothes, visit others to offer New Year wishes, give lucky money to children, and send one another wishes of good fortune. Spirit mediumship, and Hao Dong in the Mother Goddess worship belief. In Vietnam, there is a ritual where music, color, incense smoke, and movement blend together, creating a spiritual space that is both solemn and radiant. It is spirit mediumship, also called Hao Dong, the core ritual in the Vietnamese belief of worshipping the Mother Goddesses of the 3 realms and 4 realms. This belief is connected with honoring the Mother Goddesses who represent sacred realms such as heaven, water, earth, and mountains and forests. In the 3 realm system, there are the heavenly realm, the water realm, and the earth realm. The 4 realm system expands further with the mountain realm, connected to mountains and deep forests. Through many generations, the Hao Dong ritual has become a way for people to send their wishes for health, peace, wealth, and protection in life. During the ceremony, the practitioner is called a spirit medium. They believe they borrow their body so the saints can descend, sing, dance, and bless the participants. The spirit medium is usually covered with a red scarf over the head, burns incense, prays, and then changes costumes one by one. Each saint has a different costume color, appearance, and ritual, making the ceremony feel like a series of vivid cultural scenes. When Chow Van singing begins, the space gradually becomes sacred and joyful. Music, string instruments, drums, and lyrics help guide the rhythm for fan dancers, sword dancers, and spear dancers. After that, the spirit medium gives blessed offerings such as small money, fruit, and cakes to the participants. In 2016, the practices related to the Vietnamese beliefs in the mother goddesses of three realms were inscribed by UNESCO as a representative, intangible cultural heritage of humanity, affirming the special value of this ritual in Vietnamese cultural life. Golden Bridge Da Nang, giant hands lifting a walkway through the clouds. Golden Bridge in Da Nang is a modern tourism icon of Vietnam, where a golden pedestrian walkway curves like a silk ribbon lifted into the sky. The most striking feature of the structure is the pair of giant hands covered in an ancient stone color, looking like the hands of a mountain god gently lifting the entire bridge. This idea was inspired by the image of the hands of the mountain god raising a golden ribbon among the clouds. The structure was designed by architect Vo Cong Tri and the team at TA Landscape Architecture, and it quickly became one of the most recognizable images of tourism in Da Nang. As soon as it was unveiled, Golden Bridge created an international sensation and was honored by Time magazine on its list of the world's 100 greatest places. The appeal of this place lies not only in its unusual architecture, but also in the experience of walking through majestic mountain scenery, with mist drifting at eye level and layers of green forest covering the mountain slopes in the distance. Khau Vai Love Market, where former lovers can meet again on neutral ground. Among the jagged limestone mountains of Ha Giang, there is a market that is not only for buying and selling, but also for memories and the loves that have passed through a lifetime. That is Khau Vai Love Market, a unique festival that has existed for more than 100 years in Khau Vai Commune, Meo Vac District, Ha Giang Province. The origin of the market is tied to the sad love story of Ba, a young man from the Nung ethnic group, and Ut. According to folk tradition, they loved each other but could not be together because of opposition from their families and communities. In the end, they chose to part in order to avoid conflict, but promised to meet again once a year in Khau Vai. From that story, the market gradually became a place people returned to not only to meet, but also to remember, to sing, and to look back on a part of youth left behind in the mountains. On the festival day, well-dressed young men and women from many ethnic groups such as the Nung, Hmong, Jie, and Lolo wear their brilliant traditional costumes. The mountain roads suddenly brighten with the colors of clothing, the sounds of flutes, love songs, and Highland dances. The atmosphere is lively like a festival, yet also carries a quiet depth from old reunions. The Mekong Delta, where water is the road, the marketplace, and memory. In the southwest of Vietnam, water is not just part of the landscape. Water is the road, the marketplace, the farming season, the sound of boat engines in the morning, and memory woven from folk songs, traditional melodies, and the quiet houses along the riverbanks. The Mekong Delta is a land where people have learned to live with water through many generations. The roads are not only highways, but also winding canals flowing through orchards, small villages, and rows of nipa palms. Every riverside landing, every small boat, and every little bridge becomes part of daily life. One of the most typical images of this region is Kai Rang Floating Market in Can Tho. Very early in the morning, before the sun has fully risen, boats gather on the river. On each boat, sellers hang their produce from a tall pole as a simple signboard in the open river landscape. Alongside boats loaded with pineapples, potatoes, squash, and coconuts, there are also small boats selling noodle soup, coffee, and cakes, creating a floating market that is both lively and deeply ordinary. Along the canal routes in Ben Tre, Tien Giang, and Vinh Long, the orchard culture appears through rows of nipa palms, fruit gardens heavy with produce, and performances of Don Ka Tai Tu echoing through garden homes. The floating market, therefore, is not only a place of trade, but also a memory of commerce, preserving the generosity and simplicity of the people of the Mekong region through many generations. Hoi An ancient town, a trading port from the 15th century that still exists today. In central Vietnam, there is a small ancient town located beside the Huai River, where time seems not to pass too quickly. That is Hoi An ancient town, a trading port that once flourished from the 15th century and still preserves the breath of the past to this day. What makes Hoi An special is that its ancient architecture has preserved its shape almost intact. Moss-covered tiled roofs, yellow walls, wooden frames, inner courtyards, and narrow facades recall the period when this place was once a meeting point for Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, and Western merchants. On every small street, traces of old trade still appear in the Japanese-covered bridge, assembly halls, ancient houses, and riverside docks that once welcomed merchant boats from many seas. Hoi An is also recognized through its traditional craft villages most notably the lantern-making village that is more than 400 years old. Lanterns made from bamboo, silk, and brilliant colors have become a symbol of the ancient town. When night falls, the light covers the old rooftops and reflects down onto the Hawaii River, making the entire town look like a painting lit from memory. One of the most memorable moments is the Lantern Festival, when each small lantern floats on the water, carrying wishes for peace. The free basket of herbs, when a Vietnamese meal looks like an entire tropical garden. In many countries, herbs often appear only as a few small decorative sprigs on a plate. But in Vietnam, just by ordering a bowl of beef noodle soup, a serving of ban xeo, or a tray of rice paper rolls, diners may find an entire basket of fresh green herbs placed in front of them, as full and fresh as if it had just been picked from the tropical garden behind the house. That is one of the things that surprises many visitors when they come to Vietnam for the first time. They look at the large basket of herbs with basil, perilla, Vietnamese balm, fish mint, lettuce, bean sprouts, cucumber, young banana, or sour starfruit. Then ask in confusion whether they have to pay extra. The answer is usually no. In many casual eateries, that basket of herbs is served together with the main dish, and if it is finished, diners can sometimes ask for more. What is special is that Vietnamese people do not see herbs as a side part. Herbs are an important part that creates the structure of the dish. A bite of ban xeo would not feel complete without being wrapped with fresh herbs and dipped in fish sauce. A richly flavored bowl of noodles becomes lighter when fresh herbs, bean sprouts, and a little cool sourness are added. The free basket of herbs, therefore, is not only about generosity in Vietnamese cuisine, it also reflects a philosophy of balance. Richness must go with lightness, fat must meet freshness, and heat must meet coolness. Hospitality and the farmer experience when visitors become family. In Vietnam, there are experiences that make visitors realize that a journey is not only about scenery, but also about the way people open their hearts to strangers. When visitors first arrive in the countryside of Hoi An, Quang Binh, or the river region of the Mekong Delta, they may try being farmers for a few hours and leave with the feeling that they have just stepped into the life of a real Vietnamese family. In the fields, they wear conical hats, roll up their pants, and wade into the mud, learn to plant rice, water vegetables, paddle basket boats, catch fish, or herd ducks. For Vietnamese farmers, these are familiar jobs, tied to sun, rain, and sweat through many generations. But for city visitors or Western tourists, these tasks become an experience that is strange, funny, and healing all at once. Some people clumsily plant each young rice seedling, some burst out laughing when surrounded by a flock of ducks, and some understand for the first time that behind an ordinary bowl of rice is an entire process of patient labor. What makes that experience even more memorable is the hospitality of Vietnamese people. In many rural areas, strangers may be invited to drink tea, share a meal, try local dishes, or even join a roadside wedding like close relatives. Giang, the Rocky Mountain road that makes visitors both enchanted and awestruck. Giang, the paradise at the northern frontier of the country, where winding mountain passes wrap around jagged limestone ranges, then suddenly open before your eyes into deep valleys, green rivers, and small villages clinging to mountain slopes. Giang is not beautiful in a gentle way. Its beauty is sharp, high, and powerful. Gray limestone mountains rise like fortresses. Clouds drift across the tops of passes, and the narrow road twists like a thread laid across the back of the mountains. On the Dong Van Karst Plateau, people can clearly feel how small they are before a majestic terrain carved by time and mountain winds over millions of years. One of the most famous experiences in Giang is the journey through mountain passes, especially the Ma Pi Leng area, where the deep canyon and the emerald green No Ki River create a breathtaking scene. But that very beauty also demands extreme caution. Many sections of road are cliffside, steep, and filled with continuous hairpin turns, so this journey is not for rushing or carelessness. What makes Giang even more memorable is the life of ethnic communities, such as the Hmong, Dao, Thai, and Lolo. Among dry, rocky mountains, they build homes, grow corn, hold weekly markets, wear colorful traditional clothing, and preserve their customs through many generations. One rainstorm can turn an entire city into a river. In Vietnam, especially in major cities and low-lying residential areas, there are rainstorms that arrive so quickly that within a short time, a familiar road can turn into a muddy stream. Motorbikes wade through small waves, pedestrians roll up their pants, shop owners hurriedly lift tables and chairs to higher places, and stalled cars sit silently in the street like motionless islands. This is an image that both surprises visitors and feels very familiar to many Vietnamese people during the rainy season. The cause does not only come from the heavy rainfall of the tropical monsoon climate, but also from rapid urbanization, too much concrete paving, narrowed canals, and drainage systems in some places that have not kept up with the city's growth. What is worth noticing is that amid the flooding, life still continues in a very Vietnamese way. People help each other push motorbikes. Shop owners offer chairs for customers to stand above the water. Motorbike repairmen suddenly become busy, and raincoat sellers appear at exactly the right moment amid the dense sound of falling rain. Heavy rainstorms still continue, but the people here learn to get through them in a positive way, revealing the very special adaptability of Vietnamese people. The cost of living in big cities, cheap for tourists, but expensive for locals. For many foreign visitors, Vietnam's major cities often feel comfortable because street food is abundant, coffee is delicious, services are fast, and many experiences come at relatively affordable prices compared with Western cities. Just by stepping into a small alley in Hanoi, Da Nang, or Ho Chi Minh City, people can find a hot meal, a sidewalk coffee, or a ride-hailing trip through crowded streets. But behind that feeling of cheap prices is a more complicated story for local people. In big cities, the costs of renting a home, transportation, education, healthcare, food, and especially real estate prices create significant pressure for many young families. A bowl of pho may still feel inexpensive to tourists, but room rent, parking fees, tutoring costs, and monthly living expenses can turn urban life into a problem that must be carefully calculated. What is interesting is that Vietnamese people still find very flexible ways to adapt. They live in small rooms but know how to use every square meter, eat breakfast at familiar eateries, work long hours, do business online, drive for ride-hailing services, open small shops, or share expenses with family. The city, therefore, is both a place of pressure and a place of opportunity. Today's journey exploring Vietnam with Puffin's Travel comes to a close here. Each land we have passed through has revealed another piece of the S-shaped country, small on the map but vast in cultural depth. What impressed you the most about Vietnam? Leave a comment below, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue exploring more fascinating lands.